Welcome to Connected Payments with IXOPAY, where we talk to the payment providers powering global commerce. I'm Morgan Worrell here with Thomas Beinhart. Join us as we explore the integrations, trends, and tech shaping the future of payments.
Hi, lovely to see you again, Adam.
Absolutely, Melissa. My pleasure.
Absolutely. We always meet at events. I'm really excited about our talk ahead of us. Adam, a lot of payment orchestration companies out there and solution providers. How do you position IXOPay and what sets you apart from the other solution providers?
I think every day there's a new orchestration provider coming up, right? And sometimes they're startups, sometimes they're established companies that decide to call themselves orchestrators overnight. I think what sets us apart is, first of all, we've been in this game for a long time. We've been on the market with IXOPay since 2016. So in this niche, people consider us one of the OGs. But we're also fundamentally focused on enterprise-grade orchestrations, working with tier one merchants globally. And we offer a platform that is not only fit for purpose in terms of the functionality that we offer these large enterprises, but also in the track record of actually delivering solutions that work for them. And I think that is reflected in really long relationships that we have with some of the world's largest marquee brands that use our platform.
Yeah, and if you look into these enterprise merchants that you serve, do they typically leverage the full range of payment orchestration capabilities that you have in house, or do they just start with a couple of features and which functionalities are most commonly implemented as a starting point? So how is that journey?
So that's a very good question. I would say that there's a wide range, right? That it depends on many factors. Where are these merchants on their payments journey, right? How mature is their payments function? Because that kind of plays a role in what functionalities of our platform they will prioritize when implementing. Also, kind of where they are as an organization. If I am a scale up that is looking to expand internationally rapidly, adding new markets, then the connectivity of the platform, the routing engine typically comes into focus. If I am a long established global enterprise, then I'm looking less at let's say growing top line revenue for payments, but more optimizing my bottom line through efficiency gains. And then suddenly other functionalities, those that impact effort in treasury departments, for instance, automated reconciliation as an example, are key. But what we do see is that, while it's a little bit like, how much of Excel or Word do you really use, right?
Yeah.
Like it's rare to have a client who uses absolutely everything. I would say the key elements that are almost always represented are tokenization, of course, as the foundational element of any orchestration strategy. It's a smart routing of transactions, and it's what we call post-processing. So all of the aspects that deal with reconciling transactions with internal systems at our clients.
So we talked about enterprise merchants. Are there also opportunities for acquiring banks to benefit from your technology? I mean, are there any other segments that?
So I think, acquiring banks generally fall into a segment that we like to have as clients. Honestly, we sell IXOPay as a white label platform to financial institutions. This includes a very wide range of different institutions, right? They can be full acquirers, they can be payment facilitators, they can be ISOs. In such a scenario, our platform, which would be called an orchestration platform for a merchant, becomes a gateway for these kind of entities. So there is kind of that aspect, right? Often acquiring banks, especially those that are, let's say, the incumbent acquiring banks, have legacy technologies also in the gateway space, and so they find it hard to compete with the modern PSPs that are in the market today. So with IXOPay, they can actually provide a modern experience, a modern payments and integration experience to their clients. What I think is also particularly interesting is that orchestration platforms, and IXOPay certainly, allows them to get new volumes quickly. The advantage for a merchant using our platform is that they can add connectivity, add new partners, add new acquirers very quickly. And this goes both ways, right? If I'm an acquiring bank and I just closed a huge global tier one merchant, in the old days, I would have had to wait potentially for a year or two until I really saw volumes flowing because of all the complexity of the integration work that needs to be done. Now, with orchestration really becoming the new normal for payments processing at scale, for merchants, these onboarding times are reduced sometimes to mere weeks.
Yeah.
Right. Once you're through with the onboarding process, the KYCs and the commercials and the contracting, technically it becomes very, very easy for these merchants to then start sending volumes your way. And I think many acquirers, many large PSPs are realizing this, and we see this pivot towards orchestration, whereas in the past they might have looked at this whole niche with a bit of skepticism.
Yeah. And if we talk about payment orchestration, we oftentimes think about sort of the digital payments primarily, sort of e-commerce. Do you also offer like more an omni-channel offering to banks, to merchants?
What so? I would agree that orchestration has primarily been an e-commerce topic, right, for the longest time. But there is a clear trend towards omni-channel use cases being represented in orchestration platforms. So we see a variety of these use cases. I mean, a very common one that we have to deal with is what is known in the retail world as a Boris, buy online, return
Right.
store, right, which requires technical integrations and orchestration platform. But certainly we also have clients that have various POS acquirers across multiple regions in which
Yep.
they operate, and want to avoid, similarly to what they do in e-commerce, want to avoid having to integrate their applications with the local POS acquirers for each individual markets that they operate in and that they deploy terminals in. And so in these kind of scenarios, IXOPAY integrates with terminal gateways and allows the initiation of transactions through a single unified API, even if the POS providers are different.
Clear. Yeah, great. So another topic that I wanted to address is being agnostic in this sphere of payment orchestration. What is your perspective on being an agnostic payment orchestration provider, and why is this important in today's landscape?
So I'll be maybe a little bit provocative. I don't like the term agnostic because I think words have meanings, and agnostic means that you don't know something, that you're not certain about something. And I would say that actually orchestrators sit on a ton of data, on a ton of performance data. We see a lot of data. We know a lot of things about, what certain merchants do, how certain providers react. There is a lot of knowledge there, and knowledge is useful. I think what people mean when they say agnostic, and I will also say I have used that term because it's simply an industry term, is they really mean neutrality. And it means that the provider does not unduly influence the choices that merchants make as to which acquirers, which PSPs they use for processing transaction. I think the idea here, or the thing that merchants should be looking at, is, are they always in full control over routing decisions, for instance, right? Are they free to choose from the connectivity portfolio of the orchestrator that they choose, that they work with, when they want to add new connections, right? I think that makes for an agnostic or a neutral experience, and I think that's definitely a defining factor of the true orchestrators. That's why I'm also a little bit skeptical of orchestrators that or orchestration services that are provided by companies that are also financial institutions, that are also acquirers, because this simply creates massive conflicts of interest that are difficult to resolve. At the same time, this is payments, right? And the whole industry is based on networks of providers working with each other. If you look purely at the pricing model for cards, and you see Interchange Plus Plus being a splitting of fees from, Visa gets a little bit, and the acquirer gets a little bit, and the issuer gets a little bit. I mean, this whole industry is built on different players, different parts of the ecosystem getting a share of what the end user pays at the end of the day. So yeah, that's how I would view this topic. It's important for merchants to have full control. As long as you have this control, as long as you don't have a black box that takes decisions for you, as long as you're not limited in your choices, then you're working with a proper orchestration platform.
Clear. So the payment industry is constantly evolving, and as we see happening here at Money 2020 as well. So what emerging technologies do you believe will shape the industry over the next 3 to 5 years, and how will they impact this merchant payment ecosystem?
Well, it's great. It's great to talk about the future, because I can say whatever I want, and who knows, 3 to 5 years from now.
We will fact check the crystal ball, Adam. No worries.
5 years. At Money 2020 and 2030, we will have this talk again. Look, I think if you believe, or if you listen to the talks that are here, and I mean, we've all followed the news over the last couple of years, of course, we will all be out of a job. AIs and agentic, well, agents will do all of our jobs, and we will just be, I don't know, sitting at home watching TV. I do think that, AI as a topic is already having an impact in payments, right? And we've seen it in certain niches for a very long time. In fraud, it's very common. It's a very common approach to achieving better detection performance in these kind of systems. There are, of course, other areas of payments that machine learning models are increasingly being applied to. There's ideas around routing, there's ideas around support and developer experience. Of course, in the analytical domain, there's lots of applications for machine learning. So I do think that has a great role to play. I think on the back of that, and especially with this topic of kind of agentic payments, I think is the right word. So this idea that some autonomous agents will do our personal shopping for us, right? And just go out there and spend our money, which is what my kids do today, right? But okay, in the future, it's going to be an AI. So I think here the foundational layer is actually already there, right? These agents will need some sort of credential, some sort of instrument to pay with. And I think the tokenization technologies that are already in the market, right, including, for instance, universal tokens like we offer them, or network tokenizations provided by the schemes, these are really the transactional instruments that these agents will be using. So I think that's definitely an interesting topic for the future. What I also think we will see 5 years from now is that, orchestration as a topic has come a long way. I think it's becoming more and more widespread now with tier 1 merchants. I think 5 years from now, it will be the default, right? And if you are a globally operating enterprise or someone operating internationally, it will just be the standard expectation that you unbundle your stack, that you as a merchant are in full control over which way your transactions go and how they're processed, and that you have a free choice in the financial partners that you work with. So I think that's really going to be the standard expectation for any payments team, for any merchant 5 years from now. It's going to be the norm.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Adam, for sharing your perspectives. And
thank you so much for the time.